is yes, Jake explained. She was standing in front of the Waffle House. The shop was inherited when her great aunt Hildemar passed away. The same shop that suffered greatly when she deserted them, and after she caught the stealing of a competitor's secret waffle recipe. Mary tried to convince herself, I didn't know the first thing about waffles, and I have to save those jobs for the workers. Jake was very angry. Well, you didn't. You left, and they were shut down by the health department due to a lack of leadership. And Klaus, Martha, and Uli, they have not been seen or heard of since. Mary had no idea. Perhaps Klaus, Martha, or Uli left notes on her door. Many people were hurt in the wake of her bad decision. But to what length would they go for revenge? Were they plotting against her? The idea was positively terrifying. Mary started to shake. She was beginning to feel the collateral damage caused by her decisions. In an instant, they were back in Mary. That's my favorite part too. In an instant, they were back in Mary's shop in Chestnut Hollow. The note, "You will pay," sitting on the table, staring her in the face.
Sitting on the table.
Table. Jesus Christ. Mary had tried to apologize for her actions, but Jake had one last thing to say to her. Now you have one last thing to say to her, and that is, you will be visited by a third ghost, this time a really bad one. This time, an evil developer ghost who wants to take your wedding dress shop and turn it into a 17-high building that covers 3 stories. This developer ghost must be pretty powerful, she thought to herself. Oh, he is, Jake said, reading her mind, which was even more unnerving. And with that, Jake grabbed his ghost axe and disappeared into thin air. Mary continued to pace, very panicked. There had to be something she could do to make this right before this developer ghost arrived to take everything she had worked so hard for. But in that moment, the front door flew open. Leaves and dust hit her in the face, temporarily blinding her. She had stumbled around, rubbing her eyes until finally the dust had settled, and there he was. A giant skeleton in a 3-piece suit with a top hat and a monocle, and his hollowed out skeleton eye. His voice sounded like that of that elevator dude in the Haunted Mansion. And he introduced himself as Barnaby S. Crowley.
I'm Barnaby!
Mary remembered that name from the old stories her grandfather once told. Crowley was an evil robber baron who took what he wanted, and consequences mattered not to him. But today, he not only wanted Mary's soul, but her wedding dress shop.
I want your wedding dress!
He slowly approached, menace in his eyes. The shop is mine.
The shop
He got very close, right in her face, and she could feel his skeleton breath on her cheek. He continued, "When we achieve our goals on the backs of others, there is a heavy price. That caused a tear to run down Mary's face, and her fear quickly turned to determination. "You're right, I was wrong and bad and selfish," she told him. Anne Crowley continued, "Isn't that enough?"
Isn't that enough?
Mary asked, "Just let me keep my soul in my shop so that I can use them to make things right." Crowley wanted to know how she intended to right all of her wrongs, and Mary considered it for a moment.
How the hell are you gonna do that?
First thing she could do was hire back her workers in the shop so they could have their Christmas after all. She would even provide turkeys for them. Secondly, she would make it her internal cause to raise enough money to replant all the trees in Holly Jingle Jangle Jangle Jingle Jangle farms and give Christmas back to the people of Mistletoe Glen. But in the meantime, artificial trees would be delivered to every door. And lastly, she would make things right in the Belgian Health Department, reopen Great Aunt Hildemar's waffle shop, and the search ends of the earth to find and rehire Klaus, Marta, and you. The skeleton, Robber Baron, backed away from you. "You have seen the error of your ways, but do not forget this night or you will pay."
Hey, dearie.
"We are watching always," which was actually a very creepy thing to hear, but it doesn't matter. He was gone. Now it had become morning. The sun was up. Mary was alone. She smiled to herself, a new woman. Then she ran out of the town square yelling, "It's a beautiful morning! Merry Christmas, everyone!" People stared at her strangely, but she did not care. She continued yelling to whoever would listen. It is merely not enough to follow your dreams by yourself only. We must lift each other up in the process. Again, really strange looks from the passerbyers. Really strange looks from the passerbyers. Once again, really strange looks from the passerbys, like, what is crazy is wedding dress lady gonna do about the town square? But Mary was forever changed, and she knew where she ever were to step on others for her own gain, she would pay with her life, because they are always watching.